In this video, I'm going to share 3 favorite neighborhoods of mine in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Stay tuned. Hello, it's Charles Cherney, and I'm making this video in 2021, and I wanted to share with you 3 favorite neighborhoods of mine in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Number 3 is the MIT neighborhood. The city of Cambridge has 13 named neighborhoods on an official map, and one of those named neighborhoods is Area 2, otherwise known as MIT, and it's basically the MIT campus spread out along the Charles River. As a Harvard graduate, I have a much deeper and better sense of the Harvard campus, but with the world upside down in 2020 and 2021, I've been doing a lot of walking, and my walking has been largely focused on the MIT neighborhood. So I've been walking along the Charles River, either side of the heart of the campus, which falls on Massachusetts Avenue as it approaches the Charles River and the Harvard Bridge to Boston. So I think most people think of the entrance to MIT on Massachusetts Avenue, just over the Charles River in Cambridge. And of course, right there are the famous pillars that take you into the Barton building. And across the street, you have Kresge Auditorium and the famous Saarinen MIT Chapel. And so look, either side of Massachusetts Avenue along the river, the campus lays out. And it is interesting that with very few students around, the campus is eerily quiet. So my exposure and experience of the MIT neighborhood campus is missing the essential element of student life in large measure. But it's a beautiful campus. And, you know, if you walk down Vassar Street in either direction, you know, you get to see a lot of the principal buildings at MIT. And it's really nice, too, just to be on Memorial Drive with the Charles River on one side and many MIT buildings and dormitories on the other. So I've come to really appreciate the MIT neighborhood, the campus, the buildings, the sculptures, the pathways, the history. There's so much to the MIT neighborhood. And when you walk it, as often as I have, you really start to get to know the ins and outs and the byways and pathways. And I'm starting to really feel like I got a good sense of this neighborhood. Interestingly enough, there's not too much real estate for sale at all in the MIT neighborhood, basically because MIT pretty much owns the whole thing. And so it's their dormitories, their campuses, their student and faculty housing, what have you, that defines pretty much most all of the real estate here. So I'm a real estate broker, but I don't find my way into this neighborhood for sales that often. Second on my list for favorite neighborhoods this year is Mid-Cambridge. And the name Mid-Cambridge tells the tale. It's in the middle of Cambridge. It's between Harvard Square and Central Square. And principal streets that define Mid-Cambridge are Massachusetts Avenue, Harvard Street, Broadway, and Cambridge Street. These all run parallel to one another. And my mom lives on the edge of Mid-Cambridge on Antrim Street, just outside of Inman Square. And beautiful street, brick-lined sidewalks, and beautiful architecture. Been getting over to her house quite a bit. And it's such a treat to be in Mid-Cambridge. I think Harvard Street is a great example of the eclectic mix of architectural styles that define Mid-Cambridge. And the properties, for the most part, are extremely well maintained. So Harvard Street, which starts above Central Square and runs into Mid-Cambridge all the way down to Harvard Square, you know, you're going to see there single families and larger condo and apartment complex buildings and some multifamily buildings, and everything cheek by jowl, one after the other, and generally speaking, well maintained. So, you know, Harvard Street for me is a great example of Cambridge and mid-Cambridge in particular, and gives you a really good sense of the neighborhood. So I've always liked walking from the Central Square portion of mid-Cambridge down to Harvard Square along Harvard Street. And actually, if you look at the official City of Cambridge map, Harvard Yard is part of the mid-Cambridge neighborhood. So you could say that Harvard is a part of mid-Cambridge as well. And the yard is such a special place to walk through. There's a timeless sense of, there's a timelessness in Harvard Yard. It just feels like it's always been there and always will be. And that no matter what's going on in the world, it's a peaceful oasis, a place apart. So love that Harvard Yard is actually part of mid-Cambridge. The main public library branch is found in mid-Cambridge on Broadway, with Joan Lorenz Park positioned in front of it, which gets a lot of use. In fact, I've noticed it's getting more use of late. I think maybe because there's not as much for people to choose to do. So it's become more of a gathering point and a place for people, when the weather's right, to sit out and enjoy the sun. And so that's a nice green space in mid-Cambridge. And then first on my list for favorite neighborhoods in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 2021 is the Avon Hill neighborhood. So Avon Hill is a sub-neighborhood of a neighborhood on the official Cambridge map known as Neighborhood 9. And Avon Hill is bound by Massachusetts Avenue, Raymond Street, Linnean Street, and Upland Street. It's set on a little hill, hence the name, Avon Hill. And it actually is a historic district that was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 1983. So why do I love this neighborhood? Well, I think sometimes people who don't know Cambridge imagine what Cambridge might be like. And actually, if you were to picture Cambridge in your mind's eye without knowing it, there is a decent chance you'd imagine something like Avon Hill. It features these fine Victorian and Second Empire residential buildings, many of which feature larger lots than we otherwise see in much of Cambridge. They're extremely well maintained. There's many brick sidewalks. There is just this really special feeling in Avon Hill. Look, it's just above Porter Square with easy access to Harvard Square. And so as you come down the hill to Massachusetts Avenue, there's so many shops and services and restaurants and life and bus services in either direction that make city living what it is. And so there's this sense of easy access to what makes life convenient. But then as you go up the hill on such beautiful side streets like Lancaster or Walnut, or Mount Vernon, there's just this amazing sense of architectural elegance. There's a certain hush in the neighborhood that you almost have to experience it to understand how beautiful this neighborhood is. There's some beautiful side streets like Bellevue, where you can just imagine, wow, wouldn't it be wonderful to own a home here and to walk home from the university or to come up from Massachusetts Avenue into this neighborhood. I've had the good fortune over the last 20 plus years to work with buyers and sellers in this neighborhood. It was my great good fortune to sell one of the principal larger homes here, which after it was acquired, the buyer did a whole house renovation, and it was my treat to return to see the home upon its complete renovation. And it was just magical to walk through this home in Avon Hill and to see what was done with the home and to behold the beautiful rooms and the spacious yard. And, for a moment when I was there, I almost felt like I was in the countryside. So it's really the best of all worlds, Avon Hill. Love that neighborhood. And if you're in Cambridge and have time to take a walk, find your way to Avon Hill. It's a very special neighborhood. Look, I'm touching on 3 neighborhoods that this year stand out as favorites. I love all neighborhoods of Cambridge. Beyond these, I love Cambridge. Myself, I live in the Wellington-Harrington neighborhood, just outside of Inman Square, which I love and have lived in for coming up on almost 20 years. So I'd love to share with you more about these neighborhoods and the other named neighborhoods of Cambridge, Massachusetts. My name is Charles Cherney, and I'm a top residential real estate broker. I look forward to the opportunity to connect with you by text, telephone, or email, or even in person. So please reach out at any time if I can be of assistance to you in learning more about Cambridge and helping you as you seek to either buy the right home or sell for the best price in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Take care.